What is going on? We got a painting critique here. I believe this is from Mr. Wolflord 86 with two F's, double Wolf Lord. Looks like we got some more Death Guard, which are always super cool. I'd say it's a little hard to critique models when they're painted close to a box art, because we're all familiar with what they look like on the box. But I wanted to go in here and give some ideas. Let me click around a little bit and see. So I'm going to probably bounce around a little bit, but a lot of these are going to be the poxwalkers. It's hard to say how much time you want to spend on a poxwalker, right? A chaos cultist, a poxwalker, because at some point your time's probably more valuable than really painting all these guys to the highest standard, unless you're trying to win a best painted in a tournament. But these are definitely something to be happy with. I feel like whatever this, let's start at the beginning. On these guys here, when you see them as a group, if you squint down your eyes, squint them real tiny, like how mine are. You can't see me on camera, but just in any of my other videos, so you can tell I have squinty eyes. But squint your eyes way down and tell me what stands out to you. And to me, all the miniatures kind of land in the same value range. I don't see a lot of lights. The two in the middle are definitely darker, but it's just something to consider. If you're squinting, it's a way to see how much contrast your miniatures have. So you could push that further by this metal hammer going up to a brighter silver, and then you could tone it back with some rusting washes, water down some Rise of Rust or some Fire Dragon Orange or something, and just put some little real watered down in there to make them look like it's pitted out. You could do the eyes a bright color to make them pop. Like I said, on these poxwalkers, it's hard to say how much you want to actually do. I wouldn't mind seeing, let's go to their little drawing tool. How do we do that before? Here we go. I wouldn't mind seeing these horns. So this one, these ones. I wouldn't mind seeing them go up to a lighter or darker tip, just to add more contrast in that. I wouldn't mind seeing his teeth done. Looks like his teeth have a different color than his teeth. One thing to consider too, if you're going to have a lot of these, don't be afraid to mix up your color on your skin tones. They don't all have to look exactly alike. And one way I would do that, so let's say you have, let me go back to my little draw tool. No, I can't, it won't let me draw over there on the side. So bear with me. Let's say you have that little thing, it's like a rectangle from the hobby store, and it has 6 little wells, and you put your paints in there. This is a common one that I use because it's small. So what you could do, and I wonder if I can change the color. Oh yeah. So let's say you have this color in here. Oh geez. All right, you're not gonna be able to see that. Let's say you have this color, and this is your skin tone, and this is in this pot. What you could do is say you have 10 of these guys, paint 3 this color. Then just take a touch of like brown, purple, red, orange, even black, whatever. So let's say you take this color, put some of that there, take a good scoop on your brush of this color, mix it in this pot, and now paint 3 of them with that new random color you made. And then, now let's say you take some kind of cream color or pink color, whatever, put a little bit there. Take a scoop of that one, put it in there, mix it up, and then you paint 3 with that one. And all that's doing is simply giving you a variety in your unit, but they all have the same base tone. So it's just going to be this color with a hint more brown, or this color with a hint more pink, but your eye is going to read it that they all look similar because they all have the same majority of their, I guess, skin tone is coming from the same color, and you're just varying the hue of the color a bit. And it's basically what you're doing here. Well, let's go back to our little tool. So we go, actually we want to just zoom in. All right, so it's what you're doing here on this guy. You can see the purple on his face. You can see it here on their stomachs. You use like a Caribou Crimson wash or something. A bit pixelated and you warned me about this in the email, so it looks like the zoom feature might be a little rough. But here it looks fine. So maybe I'll use more of the draw tool. The color variation you're getting, so you have a wash here. Let's go back to blue. I kind of like that blue one. This pink's going to blend into your tentacles. So you have a wash here and a different color wash there. And that's nice, and you're adding a lot of variation. I can see the wash down here on the foot. But if the skin was slightly different, then you would add, like this wash over 3 different skins is going to produce a slightly different color each time, and it's just going to give you a little more variety. Not necessary, but it's just something to think about if you want to do. I think you could consider using a gloss wash on these things. To me, they look like slippery or shiny. They could be wet. They could be like a snake skin scale almost. So I would maybe experiment with a either gloss wash, like a gloss Reichland, or mix Ard coat with your wash, or just paint a layer of Ard coat on them. And literally, if you don't like it, you can just then paint a layer of Lamy and medium back over them, and you can dull them back down. But I think if they were wet or shiny, it would give the illusion that they were wet, and that would contrast the kind of drier skin. You went with kind of a humanoid color here, which is always nice. I think it makes things extra. Oh, you might hear my cat in the background. It makes things extra kind of creepy if you can kind of relate the color to real life. So it's like, because they look human, then you're kind of picturing it like, oh, these are, they were human, now they're just nasty little Nurgle humans. And you've probably seen a few of them walking around your local mall. Let's go to the next one here. I want to stick on these poxwalkers for a minute, so we're going to skip that one. This one's kind of pixelated here. I feel like you might as well weather up the pipe and things that these guys are holding a bit more. And by that, I would suggest maybe taking what you did on the bell here and doing it on that. And doing it on that, and that, and maybe it is, and maybe it's just a picture. That. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same, but this bell to me in this photo looks more weathered than the things the poxwalkers are holding. And I feel like maybe the Marines would have slightly better stuff than the poxwalkers would get a hold of. Because this guy, they look like they're literally just picking up things. And they think they're weapons. Like maybe these guys think that they're holding the same thing that these guys are holding. And that also just will make them, besides the base, which you haven't decided on yet, but the base, being based the exact same or handled the same, makes the army go together really well. But also repeating things. So if this metal, if it came from the exact same place these guys came from, then there is the possibility that they will be the same. And this is kind of stylistic choice. Of course, you don't have to do that. You could, but I still think this one in particular, I kind of just covered it. And this one, maybe even this one, they look a little cleaner than maybe they should be to me. I don't know. These Poxwalkers, I feel like you can really go pretty dirty on. If you haven't tried it, there's a secret weapon paint called Drying Blood, or Dried Blood, or Drying Blood, or Bloodstain, or something like that. Secret Weapon makes it, and it's like another kind of red, dark red, purple wash, and it is also good for bruising and holes in their skin. Could experiment with something like that. Let's jump to, okay, we went back to the beginning. We'll come back to this one because this one seems more focused on, well, let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. So we're just doing the Poxwalkers right now. Yeah, this pipe looks, I don't know if it's dirty enough for me. I feel like you could sponge on some soot on this, some black. I'm really big on the sponge, so I might just recommend that to everybody. Just sponge everything all the time. That's what I do. It worked for me. These swords, I mean, they're real ratty, like scrap metal prison shank swords, and they're just not treated. Even though you could just hit it with like a wash, maybe not all over, a selective wash, like typhus corrosion or rust texture from Vallejo, something like that, to kind of give you a dark brown or a dark red brown, some grime on there. I like actually hitting some metals with a, like, say, Agrax gloss, and that'll give that kind of oily look, and then coming back with like the brush and stipple or a sponge and sponge technique with like a rust texture paint, and then that on the weapon is going to give you a nice contrast of both matte and gloss finish with both clean and kind of dirty looking elements, and that's going to all happen right on the exact same blade. Then you can just, you know, dab on with a sponge a couple little bits of Blood for the Blood God, which I think I see in some of these like eyeballs and stuff. So you actually probably have that paint. Yeah, that looks like Blood for the Blood God there. So if, I like how you're not going overboard, and definitely don't. So if you do the Blood for the Blood God on the weapons, don't do all of them. But like this guy, I don't know, he's got a jacket, he's got like a barrel or something he's like dragging around. He just seems like he's the boss. And maybe he actually caught a guy, you know, unlucky guardsman with this big knife. And you could just speckle on, and I'm talking nothing crazy, but looks, I'm so glad I found out these colors here. But like, talking, dip your sponge, or a piece of sponge in your Blood for the Blood God, dab it on a paper towel till almost everything's off, and then just like hit like either 1, 2, 3 with the sponge, and it'll give you a little more build up here and less, you know, that direction. Obviously not behind it, I'm talking about just on the blade, right? And some of these guys could have it too, right? You could do it, say, this hit right here, right? So like dab, 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 maybe, you know, dab like that, give it a little direction. And the direction I'm going for is, whoops, that direction. Just something to think about. I would avoid putting blood on the horns. Sometimes people go crazy with the blood. You haven't, but I'm just saying it for anybody watching. I just don't see them using the horns in battle, so I like that they're not bloody. But once again, I feel like they could go like dark, medium, and then light, right? So you see just that me drawing on your horn, that gives it a light to dark tip. And we could also do that the opposite direction, so it could be like light, medium. I kind of prefer the maybe I went too light on that one, but you can just, it's kind of hard to see, but you get the idea. It just gives a little more variation in the horn, and that could be as simple as whatever wash you used on this, do it one more, or do it plus some Agrax mixed in or some Nuln Oil mixed in. And then, so take your, okay, we still get rid of it all. Let's see if we can find another picture. Here we go. So you can just take your wash that you like using on these bones, and they obviously have a nice wash on them, but selectively do it again just from maybe 2/3 of the way down, and then another time almost to the bottom, and then maybe mix in a little black and do it a little more down there, and that can get, mix some black in, and that'll, so you got the light here curving around the bell, and then maybe it starts to get a little darker when it gets to here. And it's just an idea, just to add a little extra interest to the horn. This guy definitely needs whatever your green armor wash, whatever choice you use to wash your green armor. He needs this on his face. I see he's got the horn. I think this whole area could be worked a little more. He's also got a pipe here. You might as well pick that out. I like the blood here. If you do a dark wash to really kind of darken in there, you can add some more contrast. I feel like this silver could use like a Nuln Oil on it. And I feel like you could really push even this big axe. This is like a really cool weapon. And if you just really put on selectively like a lot of Nuln Oil or a lot of Agrax Earthshade, and just selectively made sure it built up like around here. Actually, let's do orange. Maybe that'll show, demonstrate. If you did like a orange here, and you're just getting a little bit of rust, and maybe here, maybe, right? You don't really have orange rust elsewhere, so maybe not, but it's something to play with. Regardless, I think you could definitely follow that same advice. Take this axe farther. Take it, let's say, well, whatever, right? Could go, see, it'd be nice if I could like make colors on here. Say you went like a rusted kind of color, and then you took like your little yellow paint and just touch that little wire. I don't know, something to think about. Looks like it looks pretty clean, so I don't see, maybe you definitely have the brush control that you can handle putting some interest in these holes. And also don't forget these little Nurglings, right? This is your boss man here. Just so you know, right? This guy is number one. And he, so he's your boss. You're going to probably use him a lot. He deep strikes in. He does a lot of damage, kicking butt. So give this Nurgling just a highlight or something, right? Give him some more wash in here. Doesn't look like you're messing around much with the edge highlighting, which is cool. So if you don't want to mess around with edge highlighting, then I think you got to mess around to improve a bit. Would be mess around with going darker on your washes. And the wash doesn't mean every single time do the whole object. Just selectively do it. Oh yeah, looks like you have some rust here. Oh, that's cool. I didn't see that. It also looks like possibly here you do have a darker wash near the bottom. But I think you're maybe being a little reserved on how dark you could actually go with this. And I'm not saying like, black, but if you use Nuln Oil mixed with a little bit of water, or Nuln Oil or gloss on this, that'll really darken in some of these spots and still give it, it's not going to totally change your tone. Or selectively just put a little bit of Nuln Oil, like maybe back on this rim of his helmet, and then do his helmet with like camo shade or something along those lines, Agrax Earthshade. If you haven't washed this and you're not going to paint in the shadows, I think this could use some more shadows. This is a perfect, easy opportunity to play with just like an edge highlight. because it's real easy to see. Just do. And when you're doing the edge highlight, if you're afraid to try, or maybe you haven't had success before, and it's always a pain in the butt. But if you take, I can change the brush size too. All right. If you take this pink and edge highlight it, it's going to look crazy, right? Super crazy. It's too bright, and that might be why you maybe are staying away from edge highlighting, because maybe you've had this kind of result and that's not what you're looking for. Let's see how this one looks. That one's a little closer. So let's say you did this one, an edge highlighted, or even just a dry brush, right? And I'm not following exactly there, but say you edge highlighted here, and you got those and those, and then you go over with your wash over the whole thing after you've highlighted. Your wash is going to tone your highlight back, because it's going to darken both the highlight and the robe, right? So it's going to take this down and blend them together, because now they both have the same wash filtered over top of them. And that's also a way you can make dry brush blend in really nice. Don't be afraid to dry brush this handle and pick out some of the raised details on those wraps around his big axe. Don't leave this guy hanging. Give him some details, right? Give him a yellow touch of paint right there, or something going on him. The little Nurglings on here really pop. Everybody loves them. I'm assuming you love them too. So make them pop, because people, like, when you pick up a Death Guard model, it's like an Easter egg in a Marvel movie or whatever, if you are into that. But so it's fun, right? When you pick up this guy, if you hadn't seen him before, haven't paid attention when you looked at him, he's not only squishing Nurglings, but this is like a Nurgling hiding in his, I think this is one hiding in his like trophy rack. So I think, maybe I'm wrong here, but I think this guy assumes he has 3 skull trophies, when in fact this Nurgling has removed the skull and climbed in there himself. Maybe that's not true. Maybe I just have a wacky imagination, but so anyway, I think you can play with the edge highlight there. I don't know if I'd mess around too much with the edge highlight on the Poxwalkers, but I think it's a good opportunity to play around with some more washes. And I think we went back to the beginning. So this guy here, once again, I feel like you could go darker. Like, maybe you're being selective with your wash. Maybe you don't, I don't know, are you watering down your paint and not using the wash? And maybe, because we got some interesting things going on this guy. Let's see. I'll go to draw. So I see on him, you got a big spot there, definitely some kind of wash there, and then it gets lighter down there. So I'm not sure if you just had too much on your brush, or if your wash you're using is not like thinned down with Lamy medium or like a flow improver type thing. Maybe you're just thinned down black paint. I don't know, something just seems wrong about the way that settled. So I would recommend maybe trying to, if you don't have, say, Caribou Crimson, go buy that this weekend. That's your especially for this army, because you already got the red and purple tones in your cloth. And I think Caribou Crimson's gonna like really bring some joy to your life when you hit this whole thing with a Caribou Crimson wash. And you could do that after maybe even a dry brush, because you'd be able to pick out like a dry brush. You're gonna have to be careful, but you could get like some highlighting coming across there. You could get like highlighting on there, maybe on that, maybe there, maybe there, right? And I feel like that even gives it a bit of interest just for me drawing on it with the completely crazy color. So maybe consider that. And this guy is a character, so I think you'll be doing yourself kind of injustice if you don't spend a little more time on him than you're spending on the Marines. Same with that guy with the big axe. I think you go in harder. You obviously understand a lot of what you're doing here. I see some things I want to check. This is crazy, but okay, it's hard to tell. So to me, that looks like gray paint on the wood, and I spotted that in this. Something about that, I don't know, it doesn't look clean separation. Maybe I'm seeing things, maybe it's the photo. Just make sure you don't, oh, so here's one that's a little weird to me. This seems to be the same color as his finger, so I think you might have missed painting that silver. I mean, those are just minor things, but they end up looking, that's kind of where somebody's going to get the idea that it's sloppy, right? Big stains like this on his head are going to kind of read as like maybe a little sloppy. This color being there, also it looks like actually this color could be cleaned off of, yeah, you can see right here. See like his finger color, like you could just take this brown that you used on the wood and just like even thin it down pretty good so it's gonna work like a really thin paint. Use your brush, hold your model however you can get comfy, but use the brush. I'm trying to find a color that can be seen easily. So point the brush tip that way, right? There's your brush. Pretend that's your brush handle. So use the brush that way and then just go right along that finger, put some brown there. Or hit this thing with another wash. The wash will pool right there naturally and kind of cover that in. And then you can also get some lines coming, a little more definition in your fingers if you wanted. Everything looks like medium-ish, but not a lot of darks. This one has some more white. I feel like he could also be cleaned up a little. Remember, you don't have to do all this or just think about it in the next one. Clean up this gray off of this horn. That seems like just laziness to me. Like you did these horns and then you did some other gray part and then you're like, whatever, I hit it. Just, touch a color. You don't have to make a whole big thing about it. Oh, right here on the shoulder, you could just touch that up with just anything. And this big spot, it's just too big, it's too dark. Nothing else on the guy's that dark, so it's standing out to me a lot. So I just hit this pinkish purple color back over, and maybe take this pinkish purple, whatever, let's call it purple. Take this purple, put it back over. You don't even have to cover it all up. You could just kind of paint on it. And then maybe add like a touch of, say, white or red or something to your purple, or a lighter purple, and then just go, oh, geez, I don't have the draw tool on, but just hit these two little like stitch marks, just with the tip of your brush. Super simple. I'm not even mad that this cord isn't done. I don't know if you have to do that. That's fine. I do think you could work on this red cloth just a bit more. I think you'll be happier with it. If you don't care for this model, I think the number one thing you don't care for is happening right here and right here. And I like to let washes pool. I'm actually kind of a fan of that. But something about yours doesn't seem right to me. So let me know actually if I'm like a mind reader or something and you're doing something crazy with this wash, because I'd be curious to find out. This smoke also, you could go darker here on the end or darker here. Just you like do it from, let's say 1 is white and 5 is black. Yours look like your transitions are looking like they're 2 to a 3 or 3 to a 4. But it seems like you never go, you don't have to go like, I'm not talking white paint, but, or maybe a better example, let's say white is 1 and black is 10. This thing could definitely be like a 3 to an 8 or something like that. A 3, 4, 5, ooh, and then an 8 in the deepest little holes. Something like that to think about. I don't know. Hope you like that. We talked about these guys. I like this guy's little gray jacket. I think it could use a wash just to get some details popped out. One thing you might want to consider is Army Painter, like strong tone, or Army Painter dark tone. Their washes like really have a natural kind of, I don't know, slip to them, that they fall into the crevices really good. The GW washes are also really good, but they have more, they stain more. So you got to use them like, prepare that they are shifting the color you put them on, because they're adding like a filter of color over top. So just something to think about. And it looks like we're about done. That guy's pretty silly. He's got like a leather mask on. This guy doesn't have a crazy red wash. I see you did it on the horns. So if I had to suspect, I think you're either making your own washes and you're like not trusting that the other companies like Army Painter, Games Workshop, or even like companies like or just like acrylic inks you can get at like the hobby store, and you probably have to water this down because they're super intense. But I think you might be underestimating how like magic they are. They really are going to add a lot. And it's hard to tell because sometimes you have what I see as washes, but you're applying them maybe different than I'm used to. I'm not sure. It just feels like, once again, say this guy back here with the red eye. He's very mid-tone. If this was a black and white photo, that'd be cool if I could change it to black and white. Oh, maybe I can. Hold on, let's see. Yep, that didn't work at all. Oh, hey. Denim, slate. That doesn't look black and white to me. What about this one? All right, well, geez. Is there like a full-on black and white? Here we go. Let's use this one. Or this one. Let's use this one because it's showing the contrast more. Oh, sorry, I hit my cat. This is a really good way to tell if your army's close in a value scale and you don't have a lot of contrast, because you can see pretty clearly now that your silver on your chainmail is very close in value to the armor plates. Even the trim, which is brass, is very close in value to the green armor plates. You can tell on the Poxwalker down here that his jacket is close in value to his wound and his skin. And that's what I was trying to say before. This makes it a lot better to be able to say, or to show you visually, because it's hard to describe it when you're seeing in color. That's why I was saying in the beginning, if you squint down, everything kind of blurs together. And the reason, but if you squint down at this picture right now, squint your eyes, these pop, this pops, this pops, this is dark enough to pop, that pops, something back there pops. But this model as a whole, a lot of it is the very, very same value, or very close. And this one, if you don't even have it like super exaggerated, is going to really blur it out. So I'm glad we found this tool, because I think that'll give us something to show if I'm trying to demonstrate that again. And I probably will be. So once we go back here, now you can tell, even though you can see this brass to this green, they look different in color, but in black and white, they're pretty similar in value. So that's why I just think maybe some of your darks could go darker. Maybe some of your lights could go lighter. And, you could add a touch of colors. I think that pretty much covers it up. It looks like they're all about on the same paint system, or batch paint. You painted them all probably pretty close together, so I don't think there's going to be a huge jump. I like this guy's little head that he's holding. You can even just touch it with a couple highlights. Those are kind of pieces that are fun to try new things, because it's one head that you don't have to duplicate again on 40 other models. So don't be afraid to take whatever color that is, mix in a little light green, or not, actually don't do green because it's going to match his armor too much, but mix in a little like cream yellow or whatever, and just, you know, practice touching like his little cheekbone or his little nose or his little chin, and just see if you like it, and you can always go back, right? You're not going to ruin the model. So I wouldn't be afraid on that. I think that about covers us here. Hopefully this was valuable. I don't know how long we've been going. Hopefully other people find these enjoyable. If not, at least the Wolf Lord himself will hopefully take some value out of the video. And everybody enjoy their weekend. It's Saturday. Officially, I gotta go to bed, but when I wake up, it's Saturday. And it's game time. Play some Warhammer, paint some models, buy some new paints this weekend. That's it. That's the homework. Everybody go out, buy a paint that you don't have, that you think you didn't want or need, or just pick one randomly, because you'll eventually want to use it on a belt or a ribbon or something, right? If you have Agrax Earthshade but you don't have Reikland Flesh Shade, you know, pick up that one. If you have all the GW washes but you've never tried Lamenter's Yellow Glaze, go pick up that one, right? Just something. Pick up something you weren't going to use or didn't think you needed. It's like $3, $4, $5. It's cheaper than a combo of fast food. So pick up a paint, have a good time, and let's hope this uploads to YouTube.